Welcome, USFL fans, football fans, but most importantly, Houston Gamblers fans, to another episode of Gamblers Table Talk with Ace. I'm Ace, and this episode I am joined by the newest Gamblers defensive back, Brandon Brooks. Brandon, how you doing?
I'm not doing too bad.
I see you're there in your Padres gear. You're watching baseball, I assume.
I'm watching baseball. This World Series time. Series tied up 2-2. I'm a baseball fan, though. I'm a San Diego fan. I'm a San Diego guy. I'm supporting the Padres always.
I think it's interesting that you're a San Diego guy, beaches, sun, and then you go play football in Canada, but we'll get to that later. All right, but let's start off. I want to go way back. Playing in high school, what got you into football, and specifically, what got you into playing defensive back?
Oh, man. What got me into playing football? I've been, so when you go into high school, it's not really a question on if I'm, that's sort of a given. So what got me into playing defensive back is I always played, wide receiver, free safety. I was better at, receiving. I'm not going to lie to you. I said was, because now I'm, a better defensive back. But because, as you see, or as the Gamblers fans, if you guys don't know, I'm a taller corner, legit 6'2", with long arms. So in high school, I sort of lately how, the recruiting was lining up, and dudes that, they were saying, like, you need to learn how to backpedal, you know what I'm saying? Because, they're starting to pay DB, the 6'4", 6'5" receivers, they're starting to be a little shift in the football world. Taller DBs, DBs typically 5'9", 5'10", quick and speedy, but bigger, faster, stronger. So, you have to get bigger, faster, stronger DBs to cover. What's best for my career, moving forward, going into college and stuff like that to, and I start playing corner.
Nice. And I like that, the transition to having taller corners. Sadly, I'm only 5'7", so playing corner was incredibly hard for me. But at 6'2", I imagine it's a lot easier for you. Coming out of high school, going into college, we talked about this right before the show. You actually went into a D2 school before you started moving on to your crazy adventure through college football. What was that journey like, and how did you end up there?
It's been a journey. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's, I'm not gonna, say my journey was more than anybody else's, because everybody has their journey that's for them. But been on a ride. I didn't necessarily going D2 wasn't in my plans. It happened because in high school I took a math course, and at the time portal and this and that. So back then there was clearinghouse, like instant like that. So you had to make sure all the right courses fit, so they could transfer. Math course that I took a math course that basically wasn't like division qualifier. You know what I'm saying? It was like only D2 qualifying. But I found that out, pretty late in the. It was sort of like, okay, well now I'm in a position where I could either go junior, or I could go to a paid education. And at that time, about JUCO, I didn't know anything about JUCO until I went JUCO. So I'm thinking, okay, it's gonna be that. And I went to going out of high school, I went to Dixie, George, Utah. And like you said at the beginning of the show, I'm from sunny San Diego, California. So Utah's not warm. You know what I'm saying? It's cold there. So that was a pretty big shift. But it's for a reason, man. So I thank my time at Dixie. It was a good time the entire year. But I always say, man, I never want to live a life of you wake up 30 years old and be like, oh man, what if I did this, or what if I did that? So the only thing, I had to go JUCO, because I know I could play with Division I athletes at my high school. I had some Division One that I played with, guys that we were playing against. Those guys were going D1. One of those guys that was going to go D1, as well. So I had to and go the JUCO route, and make sure I could, do what I need to do.
Nice. So you went did that, and then I mean, you kind of were just jumping each year, college to college, moving up, proving that you could do it at the next level. And you went to Riverside City College, which I believe is back in California, right?
Yes. So reason for going there, literally when I was back in 2015, 2016, like I said, I didn't know much about junior college at all. One of my friends, City College, and he was in my ear telling me like, bro, like we have, this college, Ole Miss, and Notre Dame, like, or actually not Notre Dame, but prestigious uniform practices, offering guys. So I've really just at the time, Riverside was, once in California. Period. If they're not one, they're two. They're rarely three. You know what I'm saying? So if I want to go D1, right? If I want to, go to a D1 university and have a shot at, playing, I have to go improve myself, with the best guys. Period. So I figured that it doesn't. Guys are like, I know I can play football. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing it, like I said earlier, for a very long time. I chose the best junior college in California I found. I want to sort of stay in California. Chose Riverside City College, and I went there, man, and I made the most of my opportunity. I didn't stay there for too long. When I went and I bounced back to Riverside City College, I stayed there for six months, one semester of school. I played the season. I took a lot of units. So to basically protect the Division II institutions, they made students like get before being able to transfer. Or I had maybe 30 units, and maybe 30, 35, 40. So I took a gang of units, a whole lot of units. I just did what had to be done.
Nice. And then from there, you went to Nevada, and you weren't there long either. And then you went to Canada. So how how did that progress, and what eventually moved you from Nevada to Canada to Regina?
So leaving, I like I said, I only stayed there 6 months, the one semester. So I was a mid-year, got my AA in December. So now, all my offers are starting to roll in. I'm getting offered. I take a couple visits, and then boom, University of Nevada rolls in. They roll in. I'm talking everybody that was at the University of Nevada in the prior years was gone. I mean, strength coach, front office staff, everybody. They cleared house, brought in, and I went to Nevada because the coaches, honestly, most of the coaches that came from so head coach Jay Norvell, he coached at Texas, at OU, coached for the Raiders. You know what I'm saying? So in the staff that he had built, I liked what I was seeing, and I felt like I had an opportunity to grow with that staff. So to Nevada. Now, when I got to Nevada, just like I said, with a first year staff, there's going to be growing pains. You know what I'm saying? And at this point in time in my career, I Riverside City College, where we just finished man, 9-1, 9-2 season. So going into having those growing pains of starting off the season 0-4, it got a little tough. And coaches get on the hot seat, and they have to start. My DB coach at the time, unfortunately, he had to, they from his duties, and stuff just started to shake around. So I was like, okay, we're coming out of Riverside. You get 5 visits. I didn't take all 5 of my visits, surely, because I felt comfortable at the time. When I took my visit, I didn't really take the visit. I took it in the winter. I just didn't feel like I felt like I sort of rushed my decision. So I was like, okay, no big deal. You know what I'm saying? I still had all these offers. Like, let me go and let me see, what's up with these. So at the time, back in, what is this, 2016, 2017, there is no transfer portal. You know what I'm saying? There is no here, and I don't have to sit out. So at that time, when I transferred, the NCAA basically like sanctions. Like, you could, okay, so you went to a 4-year, to a 2-year, to a 4, to go to another 4-year. So basically, the NCAA's eyes, they're like, okay, like, slow down, leave to another 4-year university. Like, you have to, or to another 4-year university, you have to see, even if I go to another D1, like within the Mountain West, if I go to a D1 AA, it didn't matter. I had to sit out. And at the time in my career, I'm a June time to, to sit out a year and then, go somewhere my senior year, play to the NFL. So it was pretty tough. So that sit out, that was tough on me. So leaving Nevada after I find all this stuff out from the NCAA, this out before I had already, told Nevada, that I was piecing out. You know what I'm saying? I found all a coach from my JUCO, he basically asked me, like, have you wanted to plan up in Canada? So the only thing I knew about Canada was that they had the CFL. Yeah, like, what's up? I can go to the CFL now. So he was like, hold on, no, like, there's football in Canada. So I'm like, okay, all right, well, so long story short, I go up there for a visit. Their rules are a little bit different. Like, in rules are their own game up there. Like the CFL, as some of the, if you guys are listening, their rules are quirky stuff. You know what I'm saying? But when you go on a visit there, I was able to actually participate in. There was like 3 days of like spring ball, basically, and I was able to participate in the team. I felt like I could help that team win. I felt like being America was going to know about me, and well, let's go. Might as well go ahead and the CFL, now they'll know about me. You know what I'm saying? So I lived in Regina, Saskatchewan, and for those followers in the middle of Canada, right above North Dakota, South Dakota, right above those. It's real cold. And like I said, man, I just wanted to make sure I gave myself the best opportunity to be able to play after leaving there or after leaving college. So I was like, okay, like, let's give this thing a go. I've been outside of my comfort zone. As you see, I went to St. George, Utah. I played over in Europe. It doesn't matter, sort of where I live, because I'm going to, I'm the same person everywhere I go. I'm going to be doing the same. So, I was comfortable with going to Canada, and it ended up doing what it had to do for me.
And going up to Canada, I mean, you're right. It is quirky. It's different. They have different rules. One less, excuse me, one less down, which is confusing to me, but crazy. You go up there, you show out, and then you went and played in the European League of Football, which is actually NFL rules. So you're going even further, completely different country. But then going back to the old rules, was it a hard transition going back from Canadian football to NFL style football?
So I believe that the transition from going to CFL rules easier than vice versa, right? So others, you mentioned, they do have 3 downs, so league, but some other rules that they have. I don't know if people know, the field is bigger. So NFL 5 yards wide, in CFL is 65 wide. NFL we're 100 yards, in CFL they're 100 yard with 20-yard end zones instead of having 11 guys on the field. You know what I'm saying? But so as a DB, there's more space that you have to cover. So like immediately after going back up, leaving from Canada, coming back down home, shrunk. It shrunk a bit. So like this, zones got a little smaller, stuff like that. So I ended up there. Oh, and also the waggle. If viewers, if you guys are watching, receivers get to move laterally as much as they want, and you have receivers that can move on the NFL. That's that's a flag. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So having a guy, run like that prepares you for for a lot. So I do think that actually helped my game.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. The wider field, they're getting a full head of steam running at you. All of that, it's basically just making it harder for the secondary. Like, in no way
It does.
is that helping you guys.
No.
So,
But as we
yeah.
football is, it's as we see, or some of the flags are thrown, and all the sort of changes. Football is, sort of, even if you break it down in when you go one on one, like that's an offensive drill. You know what I'm saying? They're on the same page. They know what they're doing. As a DB, we play backwards. We have to, and they're running, full speed. So, but yeah, so it helped. Ultimately, it helped my game.
Oh, I absolutely, absolutely agree. Everything is very offensive minded. I think, especially corner, is one of the hardest positions to play in football. I think it hands down is one of the hardest. But then you played for the Barcelona Dragons in the ELF.
Mm-hmm.
You showed out. I love watching your highlights from there. Uh, More turnovers once you got to the ELF than were recorded in college. I'm not sure how well the University of Regina was keeping stats, but it seemed like you really found your spot and you hit your stride in the ELF. Do you feel that?
Actually, I would have to disagree with you, man. I feel like not really hit my stride. I just feel like every year I'm continuing to to get better. And as if this year I don't do this well, I make that a goal for next year. I'm saying, so I feel like every year I'm sort of I'm getting better and better and better. So I have to attribute, or what I have to say about that for real. The competition in a lot of people don't know, man. Like there's competition in Canada, like and like they have their whole world. Like they don't really have to come down here too much and enter that. Like they have their own game up here, and because we're down here in America, like we have all sorts of players. We don't too much have to concern ourselves with what goes on up there. But if like the competition, like there's competition up there, just like they're they put on their shoes and their pants, they go to training just like we do. If anything, or no, I'm not gonna say it's more hard, but those dudes is cold. It gets cold. They're playing games and 30 below zero. Like that's real. Like what how cold it gets. Those dudes are tough up there, man.
I almost feel like a Canadian football team is more equipped to go play against the Patriots or the Bears in winter than, say, like the Miami Dolphins, because it's just a different game.
No. Not. They're probably better prepared for the weather. I'll tell you that. They're better prepared for the weather. It's cold up there.
Yeah, you called me on it. The NFL is wild, but but you went from the ELF. Now you're Houston Gamblers. Congratulations again on signing with what I believe is the best team. I'm not biased at all, but I believe this is the best team. It has the best community, the best environment that the coaches have created. So, what was the process coming from ELF, looking towards what your next step was going to be? How did you kind of find the USFL, and how did you get in touch with Coach Bob?
So actually, after I left back home and I just got right back to work. I got back to training and stuff like that. Again, get better at whatever I didn't do well last year. So right when I came, the USFL is coming back, right? So just like me and every other free agent at the time, like how can we get in here? How what's the process? How do we do this? How do we do that? So I to the USFL draft pool last year, and talking to Coach Bob on the phone, it was just one of those things where I got overlooked. He said last year guys in the USFL draft pool, and like that's a lot of guys. And he said like near my name it just had my University of Regina. That's it. It didn't have that CFL combine. It didn't have so like and I don't know how that happened, but just small stuff like that. He told me like a lot of guys Now with the XFL coming back, being added to the XFL draft pool, opens guys' eyes a little bit. Like, oh, okay, like we got to figure out, because let's be real, the USFL, right? They're a competition for players that are trying to play spring football. So, general managers and position coaches now they sort of have to go back, look at some of the guys that were in the pool last year, or let's see who we could get in, who the XFL has in their pool, sort of stuff like that. But man, real with you, how I got in touch with Coach Bob, I sent him a text. I got his number from someone. Like I said, I know I could play football. I comprised a pretty good text where I was from, height, weight. I felt like my film is going to speak for itself, man. And I texted a number. He doesn't have my number saved. He doesn't know who I am. I didn't hear anything for a couple of days, and one morning I get a call, from an area coach. I answer, it's Coach Bob. Man, we talked for an hour. He liked talking about. He linked up with Coach Sumlin. She told me that he wanted to make sure that his eyes weren't deceiving him. He called me back later on that his eyes weren't deceiving him. The coaches, thought the same thing that he thought, and I was more than happy to, to accept the offer.
Oh, and I'm absolutely excited that you did. Just so other players watching, general managers don't usually enjoy getting texted unless you're as cool as Brandon. But
no, don't go doing that. Don't go doing that. I was doing that. Well, I mean, I guess if you want to do it, you could do it, but you're probably not going to get a reply. I'm just like a lot of texts that have went unreplied to, and it's again, people probably aren't even, because like I said, I got his number from someone off Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Like numbers are getting anybody calling me and texting me 24/7. I probably wouldn't read it, but like I said, man, and I feel like he opened my text for a reason. He watched my film for a reason, bringing me in for a reason.
No, I absolutely agree. And I asked him, I like picking Coach Bob's brain. I think he has my dream job. Absolutely. So I was asking him, what is your system right now? What are you looking for? And he said, Ace, I am getting the best players that I can find at this point. And he said that right before signing you. So high praise. And then he also said that his two players that he signed out of the ELF, you and Malcolm Washington, I've also talked to him. Fantastic guy. I can't wait for you to meet him. He said, I found two of the most special guys from the ELF. They are hungry. They have a different mentality than I've seen in a long time. So just high praise for you. And
I appreciate that.
Congratulations on, showing what you have. And like you said earlier, you're full 6'2", lengthy corner. You're going to do great things, and you're going to show out once you get there in let's say Birmingham, Houston, wherever it ends up being. You're going to show out, and I'm very excited.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. You say you can't wait for me to meet Malcolm. I actually know Malcolm. You know what I'm saying? So
really,
over there, when you're, there every team isn't complete with all American guys on their roster. Us as Americans, we sort of have like a little bond over there, right? Like we go to fly to Germany, you're gonna tap in with like the other Americans that they have on on the teams over there, because again, I know Malcolm, and it was cool that like I said, we both play the same team in the same back end. Like I like it. That's nice. That's real nice.
I like it too. I think you guys are a special breed. You're the kind of hungry player that coaches dream about getting, right? Where it really is about playing the game of football.
It's about
the
game. Like earlier, there's opportunity, to get film in a lot of leagues. A lot concerned with, what's the pay or what is this or what is that. When I went, like, I asked the questions that I needed to know, but they like I said, they don't pay the best. It's about playing the game of football. I love football. You know what I'm saying? I love the game of football. That's why, to better myself, to continue getting better. Like I said, to better what I did last year to try to, I want to be. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I appreciate Coach for, for saying those words, because I can't speak for Malcolm, but I can say I believe that he's the same way, because if he wasn't.
I agree. All right. Well, Brandon, we have reached the end of the show. When we reach the end, we say we've reached the end zone. And at this part of the show, I hand the floor over to you. I let you give your shout outs. If you have a brand that you want to promote, or if you just want to give a message to Houston Gamblers fans for next season. We do this to promote the league, to promote our network, but most importantly, to promote you. So I'd like to hand the floor to you for a little bit.
For sure. I appreciate it, man. Well, first, I'd like to thank you. You know what I'm saying? I'd like to thank, anyone out there that's supporting me, that follows me on social media or anything like that, man. You could hit me up. I'll reply to you. I don't bite. Everybody in my corner here at home, that's been helping me out. That's, Houston Gambler fans, man, show up and show out next year, man. Day in, day out, man. We're going to be out at practice. We're going to show, that we're going to do. One shout I like to give, man, shout out to my man David Hensley. He's actually playing for the Houston. They're in the World Series tied 2-2. Like I said, I'm always a San Diego guy. David's a San Diego guy, so shout out him. David, if you watch this, man, shout you out, Yeah, like I said, man, shout out God always. I'm a believer in God, Brandon Brooks does, I tell you that, you know what I'm saying? And so shout out him. I'm ready to get rolling, man. March can't come soon enough.
Oh, I absolutely agree. March cannot come soon enough. I can't wait for the USFL Season 2, and I can't wait to see you out there in the Gamblers uniform with that big red G on the side of your helmet. Brandon, thank you so much for coming on the show. Everybody, if you're watching the World Series, if the World Series is over, hopefully I'll say the Astros have won for my man Brandon here. His friend David's out there playing, so be watching. All right. Well, thank you very much, Brandon. This has been another episode of Gamblers Table Talk, interview audible with my man Brandon Brooks here. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Yes, sir. See you.